Now we're going to mix up our 2-part rod finish that we're going to apply to our threads. It's a 50-50 mix, 1 part to 1 part. You got to be extremely accurate with these measurements. So we have loaded syringes here with milliliters. There's 12 milliliters in here. We're going to mix 4 of each up. So what we need to do is go ahead and carefully squeeze it down to the 8. And this does have to be very precise, so stop right at the 8, okay? If you go a little past or a little short, make sure you do the same thing with the other part. So now we'll grab our other one, mix the same amount on there, go down to the same measurement, okay? Now we take our mixing stick and go ahead and start mixing this epoxy up nice and slow. Don't start whipping this stuff, you'll get air bubbles in there. You know, you just need to be nice and slow. Mix it for a good 4 or 5 minutes. And just keep the stick right on the bottom of the cup. Hit the sides of the cup. Hit every direction of the cup, every way. Just don't start whipping that thing, that'll just cause added bubbles in there. This epoxy is going to start to get very milky looking, foggy colored. We're going to mix through it and it'll get crystal clear again, and that's when we'll know we're ready to use it.
Okay, now that JL's got the epoxy mixed up, thanks JL, we're going to pour the epoxy into a tin dish. What this will do is it'll give us a little bit longer working time with the epoxy. Also helps to thin out the epoxy a little bit, so if there's any bubbles, they'll pop. What we're going to use a disposable brush, and we're going to apply epoxy to our thread wraps. Only the thread wraps are going to need the epoxy. So what we're going to do, keep the dish underneath, because some of this will drip off. Start about a 1/16 of an inch from the on the blank. Get a nice square edge going there. Once you get that one done, you're going to come back and you're going to do the same thing on this side. Now on this side, you have to make sure to fill in a little cavity where the guide actually goes up underneath the wraps. If you don't, moisture can get up underneath there and actually corrode away your guide feet. Once you get both edges done, you can come back into the inside and just start loading up the epoxy on the wrap. Don't worry about applying too much. If you put too much on, it's going to drip off.
This is on one of our rod dryers. It's spinning at about 9 RPMs. You know, this is an ideal speed for rod drying, but as long as that rod is continuously moving for a few hours, you're going to be okay. If this were to be stopped, your epoxy would just drip off and end up drying like that. So it's a necessity to have some sort of rod dryer during this process.
This epoxy we're applying is a 2-part finish, and it is a self-leveling finish. So if this rod, like JL said, this rod wasn't turning, the epoxy would just end up dripping off. Now as I said, it's a self-leveling epoxy, so it's pretty much going to move around and go where it wants to go. Okay, it really doesn't need a whole lot of your help. You don't really want to brush it, you just want to kind of manipulate the epoxy and move it around a little bit. There you go. Now you just got to go through, do the rest of the guides, and you're good to go.